quick recap for week 6 of The Artist Way. So this week talks about money, our relationship with money, and how we experience luxury. And last week, if you remember, me mentioning I want to go see B in Paris. So tickets went on sale this week. I went through the ringer with myself about whether or not I deserved it, whether or not that was the responsible decision to make. But as the Artist Way encourages me to plan a larger, more intentional date, this week they even asked, could we consider planning 2? And I will admit, this week was a struggle. I had court this week regarding the escrow for the apartment. I got my period, and the weather just hasn't been on my side this week. It's just been a lot. So there have been more obstacles in the way of that creative, free-flowing me time. But while I didn't take a artist date for Valentine's Day, I got taken out on a date, and it was really cute. So I tend to not be very vocal or transparent about my dating life because every time I go public with somebody, they embarrass me. So this is gonna be what it is for a minute. But anyways, the date was super cute. We went to a nice vegan eatery that I have been, synchronicity here. I've been looking at this place on Uber Eats for a long time, but I just couldn't substantiate the cost to try something that I might not like. But I was surprised, and we ended up there, and this was the best vegan fine dining experience. It was more like a brunch situation, but it was super cute. And then we went to the Hirshhorn and toured 4 stories of exhibits, and one of them, I think that the message from that experience was, what kind of creative legacy do you want to leave behind? Because on the bottom floor there was a Banksy and Basquiat exhibit, and on the top floor there was an exhibit from Portuguese Brazilian artists who were influenced by hip-hop, and it literally took us through their entire artistic career, from childhood drawings all the way through discovering their style, expanding on their style through different mediums. It was a beautiful use of space. It was awesome to see somebody commit to a concept despite how weird it probably was at the time when they created it. And I was just in awe at the distinctness of the style, and kind of reminded me of the drawing style from Rocket Power, and I could easily tell that they were probably influenced in some way, shape, or form from these brothers. I forgot the name right, but I'm gonna put it on the screen when I edit this. But yeah, so for later that night, another synchronicity. I've been pump faking with taking a dance class for one of my artist dates, and the last part of the night was a surprise kizomba class, and neither of us have taken kizomba before, but it was fun fumbling and figuring it out. But I would do it again, and it was just funny how the universe forces my hand continuously with this dance bit. Because last week I'm like, is this a new era? Yes, and dance still is a part of it. And an artist that I truly admire asked me to be involved. Let me rephrase. An artist that I really admire asked me to collaborate on a gallery expansion that they're doing, which will require me to dance so they can paint. It's an interesting collab and ironic, because I'd be a fool to say no. I'd be a fool to turn it down. That's like us passing up an Eartha Kitt and Basquiat collab, like if that ever was a thing, you know? So I feel like I just have to grow and expand this year, which synchronicity again ties into a creative project that came about by way of preparing for my birthday shoot. My shoot ended up getting canceled last minute because the studio, the heat went out, but I'm still gonna bring this to life, and I find that it is kind of a bridge project between Jupiter and the next large conceptual piece that I am working on. So Yeah, but anyways, back to the whole money bit. This week asks you to keep kind of like a ledger of your spending habits, and I got started a little late with that, and I kind of don't want to start that process until after my birthday, because if I do it prior to my birthday, I'm going to guilt myself on doing anything for myself. So I'm gonna start that fresh on the 19th. But I did jot some things down today that I purchased, and was happy to know that I brought something that would support my birthday shoot. Also bought something that will support my health and beauty. So I don't know. I guess in that in itself is a luxury, to be able to pour into my ideas, to be able to buy some lashes, or indulge in my luxuries the way that I want to. I am touching back in the next morning because I got interrupted yesterday. So as I said, this week 7 out of 7 days with my morning pages, but I didn't do a thoughtful artist date. I really wouldn't consider anything that I did this week an artist date. Again, I was combating snow, my period, dealing with this apartment, which we have to be gone before the 27th. So it's all of this crammed in, and then my overachieving ass was like, oh, I'm also going to drop my new website on my birthday. My birthday is tomorrow. That website is not done. You will not see it tomorrow. So somewhere along this journey, I got inspired and started doing. And then the things that I was doing turned into shoulds. Started feeling like, oh, I should be doing this. This is the right thing to do as an artist. This is the right thing to do as a creator. Right? It just put a lot of fucking pressure on me, or I put a lot of pressure on myself with these unrealistic deadlines, trying to achieve like huge things, pretty substantial things in a small period of time. So that was humbling this week. And again, I'm not going to start tracking my finances until after my birthday, for real. Yeah, that'll just be a story for next week. So this week I did a few tasks. There was a natural abundance task, which asked that you go outside and find flowers or leaves and press them into a book. And this activity caught my eye in particular, not because I was about to go outside and do it, but because I had already done this. When I first moved into this apartment building, I was not happy about it. I had left my ideal place in Baltimore. I had traveled the world, and I was just not happy to be back in the US also in an environment I don't want to be in. So during the spring, every day I would take a walk to get more familiar with the neighborhood, and I would start observing the flowers and the plants that were coming in as they were coming in. And I was plucking them, learning about them, using my plant app to identify them, and I pressed some in a book. So this is where I insert said pictures of books after I find it. It has been months, so I don't remember all of the books that I press plants into, but I know one of them is my grimoire, so I will start there. Next task was to throw out or give away 5 items, and that is super easy to do right now as I prepare to move. Very few things are coming with. I in the past have been a hoarder. I'm not gonna say a hoarder. It hasn't been like a clusterfuck of a mess, but I have a storage unit that I keep and have kept for years. That's where the things get hoarded. So they're out of sight and out of mind, but it's just time. The next task was a task of creation, and it asks you to cook something. And again, if you guys know me, I spent 5 years in the food industry selling raw foods and juices, and when that experience left, I was a little tainted from the kitchen. And raw food is a different kind of preparation. So me and cooking have just been at odds for a while, and I've been blessed to partner with people throughout the years who enjoy cooking. And I always tell people I cook like Beyonce.
I look like I can't cook. That's accurate. I tried to cook some fries, and they were frozen, and I put them in the grease, and the little ice was on them, so it started. I was gonna burn the house down. It's a very, very traumatic experience.
Now, ain't that bad, but I decided to cook the day after Valentine's Day, and I kept it simple. It wasn't like an extravagant meal. I just decided to make my mom spaghetti. To make my mom spaghetti with a little twist of my own. So I also had these lion's mane burger patties in there that had just been sitting. So I just crumbled those up to use as the ground meat in the sauce, and added my peppers and onions and fresh garlic and extra seasons and all of that. And it was really good. I used Banza chickpea pasta as the noodles, and something told me don't put the noodle in the pot with the sauce, but I did. But the noodles were a little thicker than I would have preferred, so I'll probably run that back with a different pasta style. But yeah, I cooked and it wasn't hell. I didn't loathe it the whole time. So that's a win. There was a prosperity section of the task that asked, were there any changes to your financial situation or your perspective on it? Any new and crazy ideas? If so, add this image or file to your vision board. So this week was all about Beyonce for me. Am I going to Paris? Am I going to see her in DC? Where am I going to Cowboy Carter? Because I'm going. Yeah, that took a lot of internal work to get to the point where I would press send on them fucking tickets. And honestly, I did the first time, and I found some tickets for $288, and I guess somebody else was also checking out at the same time as me because it just didn't go through and I had to run it back, and the tickets were not that cheap anymore. Anyhow, being in court this week on the verge of suing someone makes me look at money completely different and switching sides. What I realize is that money is energy, it's currency, right? We don't have to work as hard as we have been conditioned to for money. And as I realize that we have a legitimate case with this building, there's an opportunity for, God willing, everything works out the way that it's supposed to. Let's just say this could change my situation for the better. And it makes me dream in new ways, because after my mental, physical, financial break in 23, it really fucked up my relationship with money. I've always had an extraordinarily good relationship with money. From a very early age, I realized the importance of it in my life. You Artist Way Video 1. Now I'm just realizing that I don't have to tire myself in ways, but I have to advocate for myself. I have to stick up for myself. I have to honestly fight for what's right, not let people just get over with being slumlords. But yeah, after being in that funk since 2023, my relationship with money has been skewed to where my belief in what I can have has been messed up. I've always had A1 credit. I've been able to invest in myself, never need another person to sign for me or anything like that. And I fucked that up for myself 2 years ago in my last relationship, trying to keep us afloat. So it took a lot for me to be able to get to this point in my life where I can enjoy things again and feel like I can do something recreational, and it doesn't have to be an advancement in myself. It doesn't have to be a course. It doesn't have to be a tool that will make me more money, although majority of what I do spend my money on are those things. I'm not as strict with myself when it comes to celebrating myself through material things. So anywho, I added Cowboy Carter to my vision board, and the check-in asks, have you used these pages to think about creative luxury for yourself? Yes, that definitely was a theme this week. And as I went out on Valentine's Day for the cutest fucking date, I realized yeah, I absolutely deserve things. I don't have to settle for anything. But the synchronicities this week have been really beautiful. So again, Beyonce has been everywhere. I grew up off BAPS, and you get your signs for things in threes, baby. There's been about 5, 6, 7 Beyonce signs this week. So I've just been honoring it and making space for it, because I don't remember the last time I went to a concert, so I'm excited. And then the other synchronicity was me ending up in that vegan restaurant that I'd been stalking for weeks, and at the Kizomba class I'd been looking at for my artist date for a couple of weeks. I'm a firm believer that what's for you is for you, and the universe will offer it to you a few times, but if you keep denying it, it will pass it on to somebody else. And I'm just happy that I caught this one, okay? Because I had a blast, to be honest, and it was the best day I've had in a while that wasn't 100% up to my control. So it's nice to know that I'm seen by others. And lastly, the check-in ask if you had any issues that you would consider significant to your recovery and describe them. I've had some anxiety around writing, so this week it took a lot of energy to get me in front of final draft to begin screenwriting again. And I promised my friend Chris that I would send him a mini short on the 10th. And I wrote it, but I did not send it. Dreamed about something that I wanted to add to it. I just haven't revisited it again. And I'm like, why is writing not a muscle the way that it used to? Like, I do my morning pages, but as far as like storytelling and creating narratives, that has dwindled a bit. But once I got into the rhythm of it, it felt really good to do. It's just with all the other distractions kind of going on this week, it was just very hard to hone in on that the way that I want to. So that is on my list of things to do today. I don't want to go into my birthday without having sent him that, because really it's done. I have to add like 2 or 3 lines to that and just send it off. It's a draft, it's a short. This is the one friend that's going to give me honest feedback about it, so I'm going to follow through. This isn't an issue necessarily, but balancing myself with others, I realize there's a high demand for my time and energy, and realistically I can't give my time and energy to every single person who calls on it, or else I would have no other time for myself. And I must remind myself that this process is for me. I have to keep saying that to myself. And it's not necessarily an issue, but it's something I'm aware of. And it's like, that's why I'm in the car right now doing my recap video, because I kind of fumbled my day yesterday in the free time that I did have. But that's another story. Other roadblocks would be me still not having a laptop. All of this editing I do from my phone. Any feedback I'm giving for creative projects I'm doing from my phone or a small MacBook Air. And it's so slow. Like, I'm grateful for it, but it's frustrating at times. Sometimes these things can't keep up with my computer, you know? And then I realized that this week that I have a fear of finishing, and I'm not quite sure why all the way yet, but I realized that I will get to the end of something and get anxiety, kind of like the short film that I wrote. I've literally 2 or 3 lines to add, and it's been maybe 4 days since I've had the chance to add those lines and haven't. Finishing my website, finishing Black Magic, finishing. I've kind of even been blowing off the editor for the music video that I've been working on, really because I put a lot on my plate this week. But I have to remind myself that I'm a human being and not a fucking machine. Yeah, I just realized that things tend to lull towards the end of their tenure. So today for me is about finishing. There's just some things I want to check off before I step into a new revolution around the sun. And you would think that I would have planned some kind of grand artist date for my birthday, and in true Aquarius fashion, I don't know what I'm doing for my birthday. I'm back, and I wanted to read very quickly something from my journal. And I know I'm not supposed to share my morning pages, but this just felt like it should be included in this video. What do you believe you're worth, Brooke? How do you celebrate yourself? How do you enjoy luxury? I know I'm valuable, but often have difficulty translating that value to others. Too much practicing and not enough creating. Free your mind. Don't let the big projects stop you from starting, experimenting, and exploring. You will go on to create even greater things. Smell the roses along the way. Play, enjoy, spend the money, have the experience. The issue isn't money, it's belief in my worth, self-worth. It's belief in a creator even more magnificent than myself, a belief in abundance. I feel resistance when it's time to do something just for me. Is it selfish? Yeah, I just wanted to share that bit because celebrating myself has been an issue for years. I am often a to-do list whore. I just cross things off and I move on to the next thing, and very rarely do I acknowledge that was a feat, that I did something, and very rarely is that accomplishment acknowledged by others. But I know it's not anybody else's responsibility to acknowledge, especially if they don't see me celebrating myself. So yeah, I just felt like that was important to share. And on that note, I will leave you here. This was my week 6 Artist Way recap video, and I will see y'all next week for week 7.